Festival of the Lost has been going on for about a week now, and in classic Destiny community behaviour, we all found the fastest way to farm spectral pages and candy within hours of the event going live. Well, Bungie put a stop to that pretty quickly, and today I'm going to go over the patch, as well as some new farms for spectral pages and candy too, so you can get all that loot and the pages for the lore book during Festival of the Lost 2021. If you're new around here or find this useful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for all the latest Destiny 2 content, and turn on notifications by hitting that bell. And roughly 98% of viewers who watch This Week in Video Games aren't subscribed, so subscribe today and never miss an update. Well, before we get started today, let me know in the comments what you think of Bungie nerfing these methods of getting spectral pages and candy. Do you think they were right, or are they just nerfing the fun? I'd really be keen to know what you think. Well, Festival of the Lost 2021 went live on the 12th of October, and almost immediately we ran to known farms for materials like Wrathborn Hunts, Expunge missions, and also the Lake of Shadows too. And Wrathborn Hunts is probably the worst case scenario for Bungie and the best case scenario for us, the players. So you could do a Wrathborn Hunt, keep the lure active, and as long as you didn't damage the boss, then you could rerun the second part of the Wrathborn Hunt and get 300 candy and 5 or 6 pages per activity. So all in all, that took about 2 minutes, meaning people who farmed this technique a lot in the first few days pretty much completed the Festival of the Lost objectives in only a few hours. Well, Expunge was slightly different. You still had to run through the whole Expunge mission, but much of Tartarus can be skipped, and then it was a race to the final boss. Now, upon killing the final boss, you got 300 candy and 5 spectral pages, and again, it took about 4 or 5 minutes if you got into a good rhythm. And then we got Lake of Shadows, which is probably the strangest nerf of all. And it happened to be the Nightfall last week, and players were speedrunning through the whole thing pretty effectively. This week we got a different Nightfall, and Bungie has reverted the change on the Nightfalls, although it is Exodus Crash this week, meaning no one is going to speedrun that activity. So all of these methods were found, and the Destiny community farmed like crazy, and then late last week Bungie limited the farms for Wrathborn Hunts, Expunge and Lake of Shadows. Well, that brings us to the new farms, so we've got a new spectral pages and candy farm. So let's get into those right now. So public events are by far and away the best farming method in the game at the moment, and you want to find a destination where you've got a lot of public events, so the EDZ immediately springs to mind. So these can be done in a few minutes, and you can travel around and do as many as possible, but this method isn't going to be as efficient as any of the previous methods that got nerfed, but it is going to be faster than doing other playlist activities. So the EDZ is the location with the most active public events, plus you can also double dip by completing the activity, then loading back into the activity at the nearest spawn point, and then racing back to the chest. So if you get there quick enough, then you got a chance to get even more loot. Well, another decent farm is also Crucible, so you are going to want to keep an eye out for playlists that are quick, and the most efficient farms are Team Scorched or Mayhem, although unfortunately neither of those are going to be available this week. But if you like to play Crucible, then you can just sit in that playlist and you will get spectral pages and also candy too. You can of course play other activities and playlists in the game, although they're not going to be as fast as the public event method mentioned previously. So strikes are good, especially if you run through the shorter strikes like Lake of Shadows, plus if you get a stacked team in Gambit, then that would be decent too. Astral Alignment also gives you decent rewards, but that's going to take you a fair amount of time. So all in all, public events are the way to go, and you want to head down onto the EDZ, and I reckon that is the best location to get candy and spectral pages. Well, next up, I want to have a look at the question, should Bungie have nerfed the Festival of the Lost activities? So it's been something I've been thinking about a lot this week, and if Bungie were right to nerf those farms, I can see the argument for nerfing Wrathborn Hunts, given that you simply had to load into the activity, wait, and then get the rewards, and that is if you had a team. Now, out of all 3 of these methods that I mentioned previously, that one was probably the most suspect method, although I do think that has been in the game for a while. And it is interesting that it was left in for the Dawning event last year, and then Bungie decided to do something about it this year. Well, Expunge is a little different because it takes a little bit more skill to run through that quickly, not much more, and you can get decent runs after about 30 minutes of practice. Personally, I really like this method because you're running an activity all the way to the end. However, if you want to speedrun Expunge, then it still took around 3 to 4 minutes to get decent runs. So the final one was nerfing Lake of Shadows, and that one for me was quite strange. So it just so happened to be the Nightfall last week, and Lake of Shadows has been famous in Destiny 2 for being the strike that you can get through really, really quickly. So the whole community breathes a sigh of relief or rubs their hands together when the Lake of Shadows is the Nightfall, especially when you've got something like double loot, or you've got a currency like Festival of the Lost, when you're farming through activities. And strictly speaking, the community wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary here, or even doing anything wrong. So I think nerfing the rewards on that activity, really, Bungie should have given that one a second thought. You know, I can see Bungie's point of view. They want players to play the game the way it's meant to be played, but on the flip side, the community is going to go to extreme length to get the loot as fast as possible. You know, Bungie probably looks at the playtime in activities to determine whether something has been a success or not. For example, they may be looking at the effect of Festival of the Lost has on other activities and may use this data to determine whether or not they should invest as much or more or less into it next year. And so when we're finding these shortcuts, then it's tricky for them to see that in the data analysis, and I may be way off the mark here, and Bungie could have nerfed for different reasons, but if I had to guess, then I would start here. Well, anyways, we got about 2 more weeks of Festival of the Lost, and I think this year is a massive improvement over previous years. I definitely prefer the Lost Sectors to the Haunted Forest, and the Dino Armor is really, really cool, and getting the community involved in the decision was a smart move. Plus, we got that Spider Sparrow. You know, that has to be one of the best looking sparrows ever made. So in summary, I think there's plenty of positives to come out of Festival of the Lost this year. You know, it's good to see them change things up a little bit, and hopefully we're going to see some improvements in other seasonal events too. Well, let me know down in the comments what you think of the new farms, and also let me know if you found anything faster. Well, that is it for this guide for a new Spectral Pages and Candy Farm in Destiny 2 for Festival of the Lost. And as always, thank you so much for watching. For more Destiny 2 content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.
Guardians, our victory over the Hive will stop the spread of their magic. For now. But something tells me there's more to the Headless Ones than just Hive sorcery. We better keep researching, just in case.